study entitled Forecasting and Pattern Analysis of Philippine Regions, Palay and Corn Production. So I am from Bulacan Agricultural State College, a state college here in San Ildefonso, Bulacan. So rice and corn are the primary crops of the Philippines, having rice as the country's primary staple food. Both crops are important to the country. However, in the recent years, data shows that these crops are not enough to sustain the current population demand. Due to El Nino, there are severe or cause severe droughts, which leads to crop production losses, water shortages, losses to the economic growth of the country. In 2016, a massive drop of crop production with 6.8% in the first half of the year, with 1.48 million metric tons of crops like rice, corn, and high-value crops being lost. Over 400,000 farmers were directly affected, and 432,456 farming households were in need of support, with a massive $327 million total agriculture production loss. While in 2019, El Nino was also experienced, affecting various provinces across the country. Similarly, in 2024, there have been widespread dry conditions around the country, having 31.1 uh, dollars or $1 million losses in agriculture, with 41% and 59% of 44,800 hectares affected. This concerns the country's agricultural production. So it affects major crops, which are the rice and corn. And one of the practices that are used to improve crop production or yield is the site-specific nutrient management, or the SSNM, which enables farmers to dynamically adjust their yield or fertilizer usage, especially during the critical stage of crop growth. The efficient use of the fertilizers is crucial, as if it is improperly, instead of increasing the crop production, it might result the contrary. Okay, so in recent years, there are experiences regarding the self-sufficiency of the rice below 90% in 2015, wherein we have 86% in 2018. We fell in 2018 as well. And in 2019, we are set to be the top rice importer. And in Philippine principal rice importing countries, wherein you can see that the Philippines is in the second. Well, in 2019, the government applied the rice tariffication law, wherein it is said to be or will benefit or the benefits are it will lower the retail price of the rice and creation of 10 billion program exclusively to finance Palay farmers by providing them with easy access to fertilizer, farm machinery, and equipment, high yield seeds and cheap credit, and offering them skills training programs on farm mechanization and modern uh, techniques. While for the corn output was slightly down in the first quarter in 2019. It declines in the quarter two in the 2019. And somehow, as years goes by, and this year, somehow the corn is uh, not that below the self-sufficiency of the country. Unlike with rice, so it is under 70 plus percent for the self-sufficiency of the country, which is very much needed for us to apply strategies and for us to be able to sustain our daily needs in terms of the rice. Therefore, this study or the application of data analytics in the study is used to analyze the production of both rice and corn, which concerns the fertilizer. This will help the farmers in terms of decision making. Predicting the volume of production will allow the farmers to extract insights on what type of fertilizer and its amount will positively improve the crop's production. So this paper aims to identify the current status of the crop's production in the different regions by identifying the pattern of each region. This also aims to raise awareness of what fertilizer will maximize their crop production. Moreover, we seek to see what is the most applicable forecasting model to be used in forecasting future crop production. So this is what I have drawn regarding the role of the data analytics in agriculture. So predictive analytics is the focus of this study, wherein we understand the potential of the data analytics in agriculture and where it is seen to be a key factor in terms of the smart farming and to address the global issues in food security. So three levels of analytics were used in conducting, namely the descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. This is mainly important to explain the predict from the available data set. As per this study, the main focus is on the predictive analytics, wherein I use canopy clustering, association, rule mining, and time series. So the canopy clustering is a simple, fast, and accurate method in terms of grouping into clusters, which is used to increase the efficiency of the k-means partitioning algorithm. It is also effective to reduce the exploration time and more effective in given larger area. So also it reduces expensive distance calculation by measuring exact distance between points in the common canopy. So this is mainly used in the study to see the pattern of each region's agricultural production, their area harvested, their area applied, and average fertilizers quantity applied based on the fertilizer types. The association rule mining will find all the items sets that have the support greater than the minimum support. This generate rules that have confidence level higher than the minimum confidence and a lift of the observed support to that expected if X and Y were independent. So risk factors in adverse disease were seen capable in generating one application of this kind of technique. New set of rare association rules from the updated medical databases. Uh, Aside from that, another example is the total productive maintenance or the TPM strategy, wherein the use of association rule mining accelerates the decision to establish an appropriate TPM. Lastly, the time series forecasting uses a collection of observation that is time dependent. So this is normally done in space intervals, daily, monthly, quarterly, yearly, wherein it played a role not only in agriculture but also in other fields. So in terms of the data collection, so I use data or the data set from the countrystat.psa.gov.ph, wherein it is from the production database and the fertilizer and pesticide database of rice and corn. So the database contained the production of irrigated palay, rain-fed palay, yellow corn, and white corn in all regions across the country. So fertilizer and pesticide database, only the fertilizer information for palay and corn were obtained. So these are the attributes are the area harvested, the area where fertilizer was applied, the average quantity, the different fertilizers applied as well, such as the Amofos, the Amosol, Urea Complete, and others. So I applied data pre-processing. So I imposed this to get the dataset cleaned and transformed to have an appropriate representation of the crop production. The cleansing is applied to properly assign the fertilizer information according to the types of corn, either that is white or yellow, and for the palay, it's irrigated or rain-fed. Fertilizer information for each crop was obtained by splitting the data um, by splitting the data for each fertilizer attribute. So to complete the data set, years for fertilizer attributes and moving average was also used. So similarly, the same technique was used to fill in the data for the production. So I also use data integration wherein attributes from the production database and selected attributes from fertilizer and pesticides database were merged into the dataset. So the different attributes obtained from both databases were used in the canopy clustering, the association rules, mining, data mining, and association rules, mining, and time series forecasting techniques. So lastly, the data transformation. This is to identify the patterns existing in a dataset. So values of the different attributes were coded as low, mid, and high. So these values were coded according to table 1 and of course the table 2. So I use Weka version 3.8.2 for this study. So the canopy clustering, I have the number of seeds as 100 and the number of clusters into 20. It is adjusted to certain values for me to obtain the clustering result that shows a pattern of each commodity or crop. So in association rule mining, so finding the frequent patterns, so these attributes are of numerical types, which were converted to binomial values and is needed to be used in association rules in terms of data. In validating these patterns, so the minimum support confidence and lift measures were used. The support is how frequent the attributes or items in the rule appear together. Confidence, on the other hand, this one indicates the antecedent of both the antecedent and consequent appeared on the same occurrence. So both were used to determine the validity of an association rule. So lastly, the lift measure evaluates the quantity of the rule and it indicates the strength of a rule over the random occurrence of antecedent and the consequent, given the individuals. So a rule should have an improvement that is greater than 1 to give a positive correlation. Linear regression is also used to summarize and study relationship between the variables. And the MAE, so this is, or the absolute mean error, so it is used in comparing the methods. So this is one of the default evaluation matrix, which is used to measure the closeness of the prediction to its outcome or check the forecast accuracy. So these are the results of this study in terms of the canopy clustering. So it was used to identify, wait, uh, it's used to identify the clusters in groups in the dataset. So as illustrated in the table, so under the rain-fed rice, so as shown here, so all regions have a low volume of production. So the cluster under this crop shows low area harvested, area applied, and average quantity of fertilizer supplied, and also for each fertilizer type, and have a low volume of production for region 7 and region. So region 3, in terms of the irrigated palay, or rice, the region 3 showed a high crop production in terms of irrigated area. So such output manifests since the region or the region 3 has a category high area harvested or high area applied and mid average in terms of the quantity of fertilizers applied, while it has low in terms of the application of the aerosol, the amophos, and other fertilizer applied, while having mid or average application of urea and complete. Another interesting pattern is for the region 2 under the irrigated rice. It has most of the categories similar to region 3, but has mid complete fertilizer and a mid volume of production. So it is also evident that two clusters patterns emerge for region 4A. So as you can see under the irrigated rice, wherein there were shifting of average of complete fertilizers, but the result is the same. So it has low volume of production. So three regions are clustered as high volume of production for yellow corn. Namely, you have region 2, region 10, and region 12. All of these three regions have mid-area harvested and have a low application of amosol and other fertilizers. It is also evident that despite low area harvested for region 1 and region 5, their volume of production is of average. Other scenarios are evident for the groups under the white corn, wherein region 7 has a mid-area harvested but shows low volume of production, while region 10, though have a low area harvested, managed to have a mid volume of production. So this method clearly shows the patterns of volume of production for the rain-fed, irrigated, yellow corn, and white corn commodities based on the area harvested, area applied, and the average fertilizers quantity. But based on the result in this clustering, there are no cluster found for the other regions, such as CAR, ARMN, Region 8, and Region 9, and Region 13, sorry. Looking at the dataset, CAR has a low volume of production for all commodities under the study. And for ARMN, it has low volume of production for irrigated and rain-fed palay, while a diverse result for white and yellow corn's volume of production. Region 8 similarly shows a low volume of production, low area harvested, and low area applied, and low in terms of the fertilizer usage. So this result can be used to understand the data patterns of crop production for both palay and corn. And like in the case of region 10 and region 12, which produce high volume of production for yellow corn. Region 2, on the other hand, though has a large harvested area for irrigated rice, still has an average volume of production. So which might be because of other factors that may affect, such as the applied fertilizers, the pest infestation, and other natural disasters that can affect their crop set. And of course, high utilization of inorganic fertilizer doesn't always correlate with the high volume production. Proper use of the fertilizer should be done to have a higher volume of production. Though this clustering method can efficiently show data patterns or clusters from huge datasets, the resulting cluster is a rough pre-partition data that should be further examined by other clustering methods. Also, in this method, the number of clusters and seeds is user-defined, which means it is up to the user how many clusters and seeds he or she wanted to output to the output of this method to be. So the criteria for grouping cluster and the number of groups or clusters should be known to produce a meaningful classification of clusters. So for the association rule technique, so there is a low production, frequent patterns of association found, wherein frequent patterns were generated for a low volume of production, wherein results indicate the minimum area applied, lower area harvested, and a lower area where fertilizers are applied is linked to lower production, as shown in this image. While similarly, in terms of the association of fertilizers to the volume of production indicates that the low amophos is linked to low production. Low amosol, on the other hand, is not associated with a low production. Hence, a combination of low amosol and amophos leads to a low volume of production. So though there were no association patterns generated for the average volume of production and a high volume of average volume of production and a high volume of production because these have a minimal number of occurrences in the data. So this information on the association of different variables to a low volume of production can be used to understand such occurrence and could use as a basis on how to improve crops production. So lastly, the forecasting method. So I applied linear regression, Gaussian processes, and SMORIG to predict the volume production of the rice and corn commodities in the different regions with the fertilizer applied. So the evaluation results show that all forecasting methods applied were applicable in predicting the region's volume production, as shown in this table where the least MAE of 8.9% on Region 6 under the small reg MAE is one of the evaluation metrics that can be used in evaluating forecasting results. So though this result shows all forecasting which are less than 100, validating by also looking into other evaluation metrics such as the MSE, the root mean square error or RMSE, the MTE, and the mean absolute percentage error might be used to forecast in forecasting time series to further understand the forecasting model's appearance. In conclusion, so different data mining techniques employed in this paper may help in understanding the pattern of the volume of production for the irrigated and rainfed rice, for yellow and white corn in the country's different regions. The results in canopy clustering show that most of the clusters are producing low volume of production as affected by the area harvested, applied, the average quantity applied, and fertilizers. So these results will also enlighten the current situation on the food production of the country, as it clearly shows the resulting patterns per commodity under the study. So the results of the clustering method show that it is not only the farm size that leads to a high volume of production, but there are also other factors that the local government unit, the organizations, agricultural officers, and farmers should look into to improve the crop production. Further studies should have the resulting clusters from this type of method be examined further by using other clustering methods such as k-means or the hierarchical clustering method. The a priori association model shows similar results with the canopy clustering. It shows that low annual cost leads to low volume of production, and the combination of low ammophos and ammosol similarly leads to low production. So this result showed the association of other variables to low production. It is because most of the regions have a low volume of crop production for palay and corn. Also, or moreover, the high volume of fertilizer